Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us wherever you're joining, either on YouTube, on LinkedIn, or on Facebook. This is another edition of Microsoft PowerDiscuss. At PowerDiscuss, we share, trending issues, things that technology is bringing up to us, how we can catch up with them, how we can upskill ourselves, and tips and tricks that help us to stay updated in this evolving world, especially in the second wave of digital transformation. Today, we're going to discuss a very important topic, and I have here with me my a special guest, person of Arinze, in within justice to a lot of things that we'll be discussing today. So, what we have today is practical ways to learn a skill. There's difference between being knowledgeable and being skillful, and we know that this world we are in now is going to be more driven by skills. Yes, knowledge is very important. You know everything about the web, but can you build one? So it's about translating your knowledge to skills, and this is what we're going to be getting from this session today. So, by the way, join me as I make welcome my guest. Arinze, welcome to the show. You're mute.
Well, thank you very much, Ola Charles. It's very exciting to be here with you.
Oh, great. Awesome one. Thank you to Arinze. Can you just tell us a brief about yourself?
All right. So my name is Arinzo Inyasibilem. Um, I lead live sessions at the Kidia Institute, the Kidia Mini MBA program. I also lead the programs at Tech Semester. Tech Semester is a technology education company, basically a technology company that offers educational service in the technology space. We help young talents to upskill, and in the future, we look to also help management teams to utilize technology elements to brace up for innovation for the future. Yeah, so
Wow, awesome, awesome. Thank you, Arinze. When I hear that word, basically, Tech Semester is basically a tech company, is offering educational services. It just makes me, kind of
yeah.
that's the for me, that's the way companies of the future will ride. And then starting up that way is a great start. Seeing yourself as a technology firm, whatsoever you do today, first seeing yourself as a technology firm who is then offering that product or services. And Tech Semester, which I will also lead, is a great one. I'm also an alumni of Techidia Institute. Of course, I'm still a student today. And then if you're part of that Techidia Mini MBA program organized by Techidia Institute with the faculty lead as Professor Ndubise Kekwe, you will agree with me that Arinze is doing a very great and fantastic work. That name just keeps sticking to my head. Arinze moderating and making everything flows. Okay, so he is a very loaded individual. And so let's move into what we are here for today. The objective is to show people practical ways to learn, especially learn a skill. I have been through that loop in the past where I'm learning something for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, and seems I'm not even getting, what I need to get from them because I do not understand some tips and tricks. So before we even go there first, let's talk about this economy that we are into. Let's talk about this society where a lot of disintermediation is taking place. 5 years ago, people are talking about robotics. AI is going to get people to lose their job. This is the major disintermediation that people are talking about. And I'm going to ask you the first question, which is what are the other space you believe this intermediation is taking place outside AI and robotics? People focus on AI, robotics, but I believe there are other areas where a major disintermediation is taking place. Can you share light on that as well?
All right. Thank you very much, Ola Charles, for that question. All right. So we were having this discussion yesterday, and then we saw this post where people were very concerned about the effects of AI. Someone was saying Elon Musk is far more bothered about the catastrophe that can come by reason of application of AI, while the other person who happens to be a profound teacher of AI was more bothered about how AI is going to take people's job. And then I was just like, you're very bothered about how AI is taking people's job, whereas there are other technologies that have taken a lot of jobs already. And they are being funded today as we speak. I mean, you are hearing Flutterwave gotten Series B, Series A. They are now $1 billion valuation. Now, those are companies that are categorized under software technologies. So I'm just going to take it backward a bit. There were typewriters before, and then software emerged. we had Microsoft Office tools, and then the typewriters lost their jobs to what? So those guys that could actually operate, Windows operating system. Now, in like manner, that's just take a flashback. Software technology beyond AI and robotics, technology as a whole is disrupting industries, and it's not just for the sake of disrupting. Those technologies are not just coming to disrupt; they're actually coming to bring in efficiency to the way we do things. So, for every unit of efficiency that they bring, they cause they cause more and more less need for human intervention. So that's really what we have. So you talk about agri-tech. What's agri-tech? Technology bringing efficiency to the agricultural industry. And so you have artificial intelligence helping us to detect pest farm diseases, helping us to predict when you should apply irrigation and not. We also have health sector. We have health technology. So in health technology, you realize that you now have mobile applications that help you to speak to doctors from the comfort of your home. You also have electronic health record systems. They help you to keep records of they help keep medical records. Now, what's the implication of medical records? And then you can speak your doctor directly from your home. Nurses are already losing their jobs to some extent, and also receptionists in hospitals and non-technical or non-major staffs in hospitals are already losing their jobs to those technologies. If you take it further to e-commerce, where you have retail, e-commerce is electronic commerce disrupting the retail industry. Now, Jumia, Amazon are very much celebrated today, and we are very happy because of the efficiency that they bring to the process of purchasing commodities from stores. But you don't realize that at the back end, they are already disrupting that space and causing some jobs to be already irrelevant. How? Because I no longer need to go to Mama Tosin's shop beside my house. That means she will no longer sell as much as she used to per day. And that would also mean that in the long run, she realizes that her business is no longer profitable. She would have to go out of business and look for something else to major into. Now, that's e-commerce in retail, already disrupting and already causing loss of jobs. Now, it looks very minor now, but let me tell you the long-term implication. The long-term implication is that big manufacturing companies, those ones that produce hair cream, those ones that produce fast-moving consumer goods, they will be able to retail directly to their end users without having to go to that usual chain we learned in basic economics of wholesaler, reseller, consumer. That means wholesalers, retailers would also lose their jobs. You realize, so technology is already doing a lot of good in terms of bringing efficiency, and jobs are already being lost. So the topic shouldn't be AI is disrupting and it's going to take our jobs. The problem should be I as a talent, I as a professional, I need to choose the right position before building expertise. I shouldn't build expertise to something that will be relevant in the future that we are expecting. So the way we put it, the way we usually round up that quote is, do not try or do not end up building a successful, outdated career. Yeah, so that's really it for me.
Wow, that's so awesome and apt. I like the way you took us back and explained a lot of things that are changing, that already changed, not even that are changing. Few people pay attention to this part, but that's the reality today. We have seen a lot of organizations that have been affected, a lot of individuals that have been affected by the intermediation that technology brings in terms of bringing efficiency to processes across different sectors. And thank you for using the example of that Mama Put, example of that Jumia in the retail consumer segment. So this is a very good foundation. If you want to consider the practical ways to learn the skill, it's good to understand that there are a lot of things that have taken place today that demands you to build a relevant skill. So don't build a successful, like I just said, don't build a successful, outdated career. But rather build a successful, current, and relevant career, which it requires you to acquire skills. So we've talked about diverse skills. And just to support your point, Arinze, Microsoft just made this release that by 2025, that's like 5 years time now, 4 years, that there's going to be a new job roles, 94 million software development job roles, 94 million. Today, we have only 21 million skilled software developer, and it took the world 40 years to raise that. And we're seeing that in the next 4 years, there's going to be 94 million job roles. Imagine the hundreds of percentage increase that is. Imagine the rate of disintermediation these different skill developers are going to bring into the sectors. The world will be something else. No wonder they say same 4 years, there's going to be 900, no, there's going to be 500 million new applications developed. For every application is bringing in new efficiency, introducing new efficiency to the system, disintermediating, making outdated some business models, and before we know, things are changing so quick and fast. So it is very obvious that a lot is going to change, a lot is changing now, and a lot will continue to change. For us to position ourselves, we must learn skill, we must acquire skill, and not just stay with knowledge. That leads me to the next question, because I was once, a victim of this. There are a lot of challenges that people often face when converting knowledge to skills. Environment, cultural, a lot of things that we can't even put all the blames on them. But Anise, what will you say to this? What are the common challenges that you believe people often face? You ask them to learn the skills, and they're giving so many other reasons why it's not forthcoming.
Okay. You can hear me, right?
Yes, I can.
All right. So we see a lot of people they hear about tech, and most of the time the incentive to actually join the tech industry is usually the reward, the financial reward that is currently in it. So you just want to join tech because you know that there's a lot of money in tech right now. Tech is the trend and all that. But something now happens, you join and then you're unable to take yourself to the next level. So I'll just break it down to two phases where you're in tech and then you're unable to learn or skill, or you feel that inferiority complex to move on to the next level, right? So many of the time you join and then you start learning, and then you feel like, oh, I still need to learn something else, and then there's one more thing I need to learn, and then there's one more thing I need to learn. You're in data science, you want to learn SQL, Power BI, Tableau, Excel, R, Python, and you still ask what's the next one. They tell you that there's scalar for big data, then you go learn scalar, then you say what's the next one, then they tell you you are not done, you still need to understand how to use Stata. No, 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 no. You don't really need to do everything. If you take things back to the foundation is that you are here to solve people's problem. Those tools are merely an enabler. In data analytics, you are there to help companies use their data to derive insights that help them make the best of management decisions. So what does that tell you? That tells you that no matter the tool you are using, your focus should be on being able to build a solution. In data analytics, your solution will be to run an analytics project. Okay, for this firm, I want to run this analytics project. Now, if you focus more on problem, then you'll be able to learn the appropriate skill tools at the appropriate timing. But if you keep on learning, putting your attention on this tool, that tool, this tool, that tool, then you will never learn enough. You think that those experts today knows all those tools. No, they don't. They really don't. They'll just put their attention on problem solving. So your attention should really be on problem solving. If you put your attention on problem solving, you now move backwards to what tool is required for you to implement this. So I want to solve this problem. What is needed? This is what's needed. Okay. Now from this, I need to do this. Okay, I need Python to do this. Then I need Power BI to do this. In this entire project, there was no need for SQL. You are good to go. Now, by the time companies want to employ, they will not ask you how many tools you know. They ask you, this is our problem. Can you solve it? Yes, I can solve it. I've done something very similar. And in case you need a tool like SQL, I've not really worked with it. But the way I learned, the way my approach to solving this problem tells me that I'm able to take on this task also. But if you go the other way around, going to Coursera, then tomorrow Udemy, then the next day you're on EDX, learning all of those courses, then you really not get to what your learning is all about. Your learning is all about helping things get better, helping processes get better, helping people achieve one result or the other by solving a particular problem. So focus on solving problem. Are you building application solutions? Focus on solving problem. So that will really be it for me.
Wow, wow. Thank you for that perspective, Arinze. And then to also share a bit about the challenges that people often face, what Arinze is trying to say here is the moment you are focusing on tools and not the problem, you will not have enough of that. You will continue to dig. Today, if I go to my Udemy, Udacity, LinkedIn Learning, Future Learn, Coursera, Khan Academy, Free Code Camp, Solo Learn, just to mention a lot of different sites that I've registered, and a lot of learning, beginner training, beginner courses, advanced that I have there. They're just in their numbers. But that doesn't mean I've been able to convert those resources, which are knowledge there, to skills. And I also observed that one of those challenges were when you are trying to make a living. In this part of the world, people are hustling to make a living. It is then that's difficult to learn a skill that's not even giving money immediately, because it's so demanding here that you cannot just learn while you are earning. You are working today, so Monday to night, it's been so difficult for you. And saying you still need to learn a skill that's not bringing money immediately, it can be a bit challenging. So that challenge is also there. The challenge that you are learning, you are focusing on skills
Yeah,
and not on projects.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Ola Charles. Yes, I agree with you because I would always say that the best time for you to learn is that time you are very young. And then I see a lot of undergraduates and fresh graduates thinking, okay, it's not a time, there's still time for me to learn, and then maybe just keep on postponing that process. But then there's this thing in Nigeria, once financial pressure sets in, you now have limited time. And once that limited time comes up, you're unable to commit to learning as you should. For example, maybe you studied biology in school and then you want to transition to become a data scientist. Now, the longest time for you to start is when you have gotten a job in the biology field or in that particular field. That's the longest time for you to start, because at that point, you spend your 9 to 5 doing something that is entirely different. And then sometimes your income from the job is not even enough. So you want to do some side hustle to get extra income to support your standard of living. And then by the time you have that, then you now say, okay, next semester is offering a course on data science. Then you just pay for the course, and then you only attend 2 of the sessions. That's really what happens. Once financial pressure sets in, you're unable to now commit to learning. And once you cannot commit to learning, you are not upskilling. Now, there was this analogy I saw on your WhatsApp status, was it not yesterday, where you put this comprehensive video from knowledge to power, then from power to wealth. But usually we want to take it the other way around. From wealth, you want to first of all acquire wealth from whatever means possible, then you want to get power by reason of your wealth. Then you now say, because I have knowledge and power, and because I have wealth and power, I can gain whatever knowledge I want to want. But the thing is that by the time you go that route, it is no longer sustainable. It is not sustainable. Now, in the future that we are going to, technology is going to enable everything, every industry, from retail to health to agriculture, as we have discussed, even furthermore to other industries like finance, where you have fintech, payment technology is already disintermediating banking. You have blockchain technology destroying a lot of things for banks. You saw the federal government ban on cryptocurrency the other time. That's an effect of the disruption that is coming from that technology innovation. Now, if you cannot commit to learning now, that means in the future you'll be very ignorant of technology, and whatever means of income you have, whatever job you have, gradually they will become irrelevant. And once they become irrelevant, you would also lose value. So you might have saved money from your job in the past, and by reason of that, maybe you had some power and maybe some influence in your network. But once that moment comes, you've gotten to the peak, you begin to depreciate because you no longer know what's in vogue, and you do not have time to upskill anymore. Why? There's financial pressure. There's wife waiting for you at home. There are children, you have to pay their school fees. Instead of you to pay for your own learning, you have to pay for your children's learning. And at that point, it just looks like there's nothing else for you to do, and it just begins to live in frustration. So it just boils down to, you have to dedicate your time while you have that time, because when it comes to upskilling and then preparing for the future, one of the most important factor is not really availability of knowledge. It's now the time that you have available to commit to learn. How much time do you have to commit to learn? And the best time you have right now, it's in your undergraduate days, in your fresh graduate days. In the undergraduate community, we said you have the 3rd semester. Yeah, that's what we termed it, so that you have the break between your first semester and second semester, and then you have your second semester long holiday. You could actually commit that time to learning something very useful, and then we'll say, why don't you make it a tech semester? All right, so that is from me.
Wow, that's so awesome. Well, I just love that perspective, especially the kind of way pressure, financial pressure, make it difficult for us to learn things. Don't forget, to our viewers, we are considering practical ways to learn a skill. And before we even go there, we need to explore what is changing and why the demand to learn a skill, as well as what are the challenges that we often face when learning skills. Alize has been so, he's a very knowledgeable individual who is giving us this insight, breaking them down and making them relatable. Talking about time, while I was in the university, I often tell myself that when I finish, when I graduate, I will have time for myself. I just so much believe that I didn't have time. I just told myself the day I finish my final exam, I'm going to sleep for like 3 days. I was just imagining the kind of things I will do because I believe I have the time. Lo and behold, the best of the time I had was when I was in the university. Today, there's no time. And every day, day upon day, there's no time again. The next level ahead of me, there's no time. I'm going to be getting more busy. If I want to catch up with trend, if I want to keep upskilling myself, all those things. So, following what he has said, the best time is even when you're in the university. But if you are already, how you're a core member now, you're serving. Oh, what a wonderful time for you! Especially in the period of working from home, your PPA, you have days, you have times to learn. What an interesting time to learn. How about, you are just working, you're just starting your career, as you might be feeling the pressure, but it's still the best time to also learn alongside. But because the every day makes it difficult for you to have the time to learn. So now is the best time. That then leads us to the next talk, which he talked about for undergraduate, and let's to address a bit of undergraduate there because this knowledge can also help, and you can also apply it to yourself. So in undergraduate days, you have first semester, second semester, and you have third semester. No, there's not like third semester. First and second, and then from the wisdom of Arinze, he said, okay, there's a long break between second semester and resuming a new session. Why don't we call that third and then make the third semester a tech semester where you get to learn things? So, Arinze, can you tell us about the tech semester and how it is addressing these learning challenges?
All right, like I said before, Tech Semester is a technology company, but then we came out from this same perspective, these things that we are discussing, saying that there's a need to bridge that knowledge gap between the skill sets that professionals of today possess and those things that are actually needed in the marketplace of tomorrow. So that's really what we're actually out to solve. And then we thought about it. There's this quote I saw in someone's status, and then it just said it all. It says, when knowledge becomes abundant, the thing that becomes scarce is attention. So, now there's really abundance of knowledge, and what we have that is no longer available is really the attention of people to learn. So, you say, okay, I want to learn, and then you have there's IBM library of courses. You have Microsoft has a library of courses. Google has a library of courses. On Udemy, there are a lot of coupon codes for you to access courses. LinkedIn Learning, you have about 10 that they made available free, accessible to Africans to learn. Now, all of these materials are actually free. And then we thought about it. And these guys, we really need to bridge that gap in that skill set in a very short time. The problem is the time versus the skill gap that we have. So we thought about it, and then we came up with this model. We have the tech semester training bootcamps, and that's just one of the offerings that we have. Like I said, we're a technology company, so we have other things that we actually venture into as time goes on. But currently, we have the boot camps. And how are the boot camps designed? The boot camps are designed such that you focus on solving problems, like I said earlier on. So you have a lead instructor, not a lead instructor that just finished the university and then is willing to teach. No, a lead instructor that has worked in industry and then has accumulated years of experience. You have to walk you through series of projects. So in every week we have boot camp usually lasts spans across 4 weeks, and then at the end of each week we are solving a problem. How do you solve that problem if you do not even know anything about it? So we now reference you to one of those many available resources online. But we help you see by coming into our boot camp that your focus is on solving problems, not just acquiring knowledge. So you go on any learning resource, learn one or two things, but you know that you are learning them to solve a particular task for that week. So by the time you are done with 4 weeks, you would have solved 4 different types of problems or challenges that would have helped you learn extra, that have helped you go the extra mile beyond the information that was made available in whatever course material we're using. So that's really what we have at Tech Semester. We are creating those boot camps. We've had one that just concluded. We have another one coming for data analytics intermediate. We are going to work on the projects are going to focus on social media analytics and then analytics of company data, driving insights from large data sets for companies, banks, and the likes of that. So we have that, and then we hope to see more of that in the future.
All right. Thank you so much, Arize. We have Stanford, who is joining us as well, saying great talk and knowledge sharing. Thank you so much, Stanford. Arize talked about something that I just quickly had to, make it a flyer and pen it down. That when knowledge becomes abundance, the scarcity is in attention. That really means a lot because truly we are in abundance of information era where whatsoever you need, the web is out there for you to search for that. Someone reached out to me earlier this week, last week, and then told me the need for, she wanted to learn some relevant skills in analytics and need me to give her, a personal training, not a cohort one, but a personal one. And when I charged her, she was like, no, 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 I can't afford this. Please consider me. I still told her I gave her discount. But she kept saying that no, no, that I have a lot of video resources. I have gone for some webinars. It's just I don't have the time to pay attention. Yes, that is it. That time to pay attention is what we are paying for. And because until you have a model that allows you to be focused, to be committed, which is what tech semester is all about. They take you through, these are the challenges that you often face. If you want to work in this role as a data analyst, these are the kind of projects we take up. Okay, let's drop the first one. If you have a project like this, how do you address that project? You go through the model of addressing them. What are the necessary skills you need to solve that problem? Then you go ahead and learn those things and solve the challenge. So this way, when you need to solve this particular challenge, you don't need to go and be learning Scalar, Hadoop, all those big data languages, big query. Meanwhile, something that SQL and then Power BI will have helped you to address. So that model seems very effective. Your payment, you are being held responsible. Yet you have mentors that follow up with you, that walk you through projects. It's a very great thing that our tech semester is doing. And thank you, Arize, for that vision and the commitment to drive that, because it is more important than before that we help Africa to accelerate in their knowledge and skill acquisition, because that is it. We've had this saying that the most resourceful nation is Africa, and not just because of the mineral resources that are here in Africa, but about the people. And said the next level of exports Africa is going to enjoy is the people. But mind you, that same people can be of low value if they do not possess relevant skills. If they are the one who are doing the menial jobs, if they are the one who are just out there seeking for support from other nations, then it is no longer a resources that is valuable. It is rather a burden. But to accelerate Africa's capacity development, we must pay attention to skills, how we can help people to learn the right skills at the right time. All right. So now that leads me to the next question. Sort of focus. Thank you guys. I can see a comment, encouragement from Otuike here. Thank you. So well done, guys. The future is bright. We just need to open our eyes to read between the lines and properly position ourselves for the future that will definitely come upon us. This is a word of wisdom. And I really wish a lot of people can decipher the depth in this whole comment. Thank you so much, Otuke. We have somewhere also here saying nice background. Oh, thank you. It's a great sessions, guys. Thank you. So feel free to pass your comments, wherever you're watching us from LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook, while we move on to the next talk here. All right. Now that we have discussed issues that faces people in upskilling themselves, we have seen the need for us to upskill ourselves. Let's look at the practical ways where we can learn, through which we can learn how to build a skill. Anita has talked about few, especially the model from tech semester. But one of them is, I'm just going to list out about 5 or 6, and we'll just discuss briefly about them. First, make learning more meaningful for yourself. Anita, what do you have about this? If you make learning more meaningful to yourself, how will it improve your ability to acquire your skills faster?
Thank you very much, Alachas. And I must mention that I really enjoyed your last comments. Yeah, you mentioned that the best exports, the next best export for Africa is really in its talents. Thank you very much. So when it comes to making learning more meaningful for yourself, that for me, I would say that actually has a lot to do with the reason why you are learning. For me, when I started, it was all about technology. I really got excited about the fact, when I saw all those predictions, forecast, and like, okay, the future is going to be really all tech. But then at the center of it, I really found purpose. I realized that at the center of everything, man is out there to solve problems, and there's really nothing that you can't solve if you rightly apply entrepreneurship and technology. So I'm really out to solve problems, and I know that okay, I'm here to make people's lives better in one way or the other. Fintech out there, all the fintech companies, their primary mission is not just to make money or reach a $1 billion valuation, but to help Africa participate in the commerce that is going on in the world. You can imagine how painful it is that you run a business in Africa and you cannot have a customer from Canada, but they will gladly have us all as customer for breakfast. You can imagine how bad that could be for an African business. So those fintech companies are primarily out there to help us solve that problem. Now, in that, the next question after declaring that passion or your purpose, what you're out there for solving that problem, what problem am I solving? For us at Tech Semester, we are solving that problem of what's the skill gap, what the skill gap between the professionals of today and the market needs that we have today and the one that we are expecting in the future coming. How do we solve that skill gap? Now, defining the problem and then asking yourself, how do we go about it? Realize that technology always comes into play as an enabler. Now, when technology comes into play as an enabler, you now say, okay, I need to build a software that can help students learn. I need to build artificial intelligence that can help people filter information, this, that. From there, you now define a learning path. When you have a learning path that is focused on a problem, that is focused on a vision, your learning becomes very much passionate. You are not just learning data analytics so you can know Power BI, SQL, Excel. You are now focused on, if you're, for example, you're going to be a data analyst in Tech Semester with that goal of helping people fix their skill gap. You are going to be focusing on deriving insight. How many students out there have access to a laptop? How many students have access to mobile phones? How can we create initiatives for government to make these devices available to those ones so that they can also learn? Why? You are doing data analytics with a purpose in mind. You are not just doing data analytics because you want to know Python, Power BI. That way, your learning will just become infinite. It looks like you have no direction. And then by the time someone says there's no Scala, you are going for Scala. But when you have a purpose in mind, you are now going to be able to definitely define the tools that you need. So you must see technology as an enabler to solving problems and not an end in itself. So you have to make learning meaningful to yourself.
Wow, thank you so much. Arnize, it makes a lot of sense now, the way you have explained it. So, step one to when it comes to practical ways to learn a skill is when you make it more meaningful to yourself. And Arnize has done justice to that. The second one here, I'm just going to talk through it, is learn by doing. Is one of the best way to learn. When you start doing and not just consume the videos, you have the learning resources out there. A lot of us, we go through that video, we just share the certificate. That's why since I learned this concept, I've refused to share certificate on LinkedIn. You just completed the course, you share the certificate, I've just finished this course. I would rather share the knowledge in terms of skill that I've been able to acquire through that course. Whatsoever I'm able to build there, whatsoever they built there, I will replicate it and apply to something else and share that thing. That's what makes a lot of impact rather than just sharing the certificate. I'm going to say that when you learn by doing, you are not just having it at the back of your head, maybe I know how to do these things. When you are learning by seeing, you might forget. But when you learn by doing, you will even find out that, oh, you thought you know this thing, but you actually don't know it. So it is then you are going to master it. Learn by doing makes you master the skill and get your hands dirty. And I will advise as a step two, also try to learn by doing and not just consuming those resources out there. And I say, in Pro's voice, study the grades and then practice. That seems to, what will you say to that? Because a lot of us, we study the grades, but we don't practice. So study the grade, the guys that have gone ahead and knows these things, they are all out there. We have their resources with us. So what will you say to that? Study the grades, then practice.
All right. Firstly, I'll say thank you for step two. They explained very well how we can learn by doing. Thank you very much, Olachas. All right. So I'm down to step three. If you ask me, studying the grades and then practice. I'd like to start with this famous quote from Isaac Newton. It says, "If I'd seen farther than others, if I'd seen farther than other men, it's because I've stood on the shoulders of giants." So you really cannot displace the place of mentorship. you can't really displace the place of learning from experience. Many of the times, when it comes to learning from experience, you don't really have to have all of those experience yourself before you learn from them. You can learn from the experience of others. When I got new to LinkedIn, LinkedIn had just one primary benefit for me, and that was checking people's profile. And then there was just one thing I was doing. I was not really spying on anybody. I'll just pick on some great guys that are already technology leaders. They already use technology products. I'll go and check. Okay, when did they graduate from school? Okay, what was the year and when did they start their first job? Wow, they did 2 internships. Wow, they did this, they did that. Wow, so they worked in this company and then this company, so they must have learned. Wow, they grew in the ranks in that company and they got to a position of head of this, head of that before they started their own company. Now, this is why this company did not fail. Okay, let me check this company that failed. Let me see what probably happened. Or maybe he didn't really have business school, any business certification in his course. Wow, so I think business education is needed. One of the places I actually got grown the most was at BACN. BACN is the Business Analyst Community of Nigeria, and it's powered by one of the staffers of Venture Garden. The Venture Garden is one of the popular technology companies in Lagos. I attended their fireside chats, and really, we had CEOs come speak to us. And in 2 occasions, I realized that the leaders of today that are actually in data analytics department did not even need to learn Python or machine learning. You'll be shocked. I'm telling you right now. Now, how did they get up there? They realized that what was needed was insights. So Excel was sufficient to drive that insight. So it was just insights and business knowledge. So they focused more on gaining business knowledge. One understood supply chain management, the other learned business from this, and then they just understood a particular tool in analytics to get insight from data. And that way, they grew up to the rank of general manager data analytics, general manager this. Whereas the other guys that could do machine learning and Python, they were all underneath. They actually, because it's not all about the football or all about the skills you have. It's all about direction. All your skills are needed in a given direction to produce velocity. Velocity is mass times speed in a given direction. So if you have all of the speed and it is not directed, it's just going to put to waste, just wasted energy, wasted resource. So without those mentors, you wouldn't know. If I had not attended those gatherings, I would have also spent my time learning neural networks, deep learning, this, that, without actually building any products that solve people's problems. So you have to pay attention to the experiences of others. You have to learn from the experiences that others has gone through. You have to put yourself close to people that have achieved the kind of things that you look forward to achieve, and that way you take their steps one after. I'll just seize that opportunity to just talk about mentorship. I see a lot of people talking about come and mentor me, come and mentor me. I think that's a very wrong way to ask for mentorship. I think the better way to ask for mentorship is to look at that person and ask, what can I do for this person, without even asking him directly. I mean, I didn't really want to talk about how I got a bit closer to Professor on this show, but it was really in that manner. It wasn't like I said, please mentor me, but then he's my mentor from afar. And how did I get that close? By asking myself, what can I do to make this person's life better or his job better? And then you look for something to actually contribute. So mentorship shouldn't just be come and mentor me and then you're off the radar. No, that shouldn't be it. So pay attention to the great people. If you really go far, then you must stand on the shoulder of giants.
Wow, wow. Very good opening and closing statement for that advice. So when you look at it this way, you have mentioned something very critical, and then I have a comment here from a very respected sister of mine. Oh, well done, Lana. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, Jumoke. I'm so happy that you're part of this event. Thank you for the encouragement. Yeah, thank you, Arize, for that comment. You often see that as someone who is coming up in a field, who is trying to learn and acquire a skill, you see one of the challenges they do face is they know what they want to do, but they don't know even how to ask the right question. And this could be one of the things your mentorship relationship can help you to address. And not every time, give me all your hours and solve this problem for me, but rather, how do I ask Google this kind of questions? It could be that really challenging. You know what you want to do, you don't know how to ask. But when you reach out to a mentor, may just explain that I'm finding it difficult to express this. The person can rather, it's easier to have 1 minute call with you, 2 minutes to explain that thing, or just to test to you, I'm busy now, but just Google this. Or the person can even share the links to those materials that we have. But what I've seen over time is a lot of people want you to be there, being a mentor, so come and solve the problem for me. It is not on, they might not have the time to solve that problem for you, but they can give you guides, that will help you to address the challenge. So you can also take that up to maximize the time you're having with your mentor during your engagement. Thank you so much. And okay, now here, teach what you learn. Because remember, we are focusing on how to convert knowledge to skills. When I was in the university, what makes me master the art of data analytics, including the use of SPSS, Starter, Minitab, eView, was because I teach what I learn. And teaching means learning twice. The moment you're able to teach something you learn, you've been able to learn that thing twice. I and few of my colleagues, Saka, Barak, and the rest, were being referred to as tutorial masters. Day in, day out, people often wonder how we manage to, to even read. Because after class, we are there again giving tutorial. In the evening, we are giving tutorial. We are teaching. And that way, we were learning twice. So it is also often encouraged that when you learn something, if you can write a blog post on Medium, on LinkedIn, do a video, it helps you to also solidify that knowledge in such a way that you won't forget. Let me just put it to you this way. Some of the videos that I posted on my YouTube channel, sometimes maybe I don't know, I might not even remember end to end how to solve a challenge. I just remember that I've solved it before. I'll go out there, look for the video that I've created, consume the video as a viewer, and then go back again and replicate that thing. So if I've not taken the time to teach, I might not even be able to locate back the resources. So it's often been encouraged that you should try as much as possible to teach what you've learned. That way you can also learn twice. Moving on to the next is spend more time practicing things you find difficult. This is very important. Arize is back. Yeah, spend more time learning, practicing things you find difficult. I think this is major because if you do not practice what you find difficult, you will stay glued in the loop of beginners. Because beginner find make it easy when you are taking a course online as beginner course, you understand that thing easily. It's okay for you, and you are happy, you are comfortable with it. But the skill to solve the real problem lies in the intermediate and the advanced level, and those are the things that are a bit difficult. Beginners make you understand the whole concept, but maybe not to solve a critical problem. So if you do not take time to practice the ones that are difficult, you might not be able to solve challenge, and you will stay in the loop of beginner. You see Python beginner course, you have registered same course on different platforms because just keep consuming them just to prove to yourself that you can do it. So I don't know. Do you have one or two things to say to this as well? That okay, you should spend more time practicing things that are difficult than just consuming the beginners courses. Oh, network, can you hear
My
me?
network is
Oh, I
my
see.
network is beginning to fluctuate. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear now.
All right, so I really agree with what you said, and every bit of it. In fact, spend more time practicing things that you find difficult, and that's really how it is. I mean, if you ask how do people become senior developers, senior data analysts, it's not because they know all of the tools or they know all of the um, all of the subsets or all of the things that those tools are made of. For example, in Python, there are a lot of libraries, and each library has a lot of functions, classes, and all that. It's not like they know everything, and that's why they're now called senior developers. No, it's because they've taken time to try to use that tool to solve a problem, and then when they face a challenge, they spent time solving, going over it again. Most of the time, as a software developer, website developer, application developer, most of the things you do is just to go to yeah,
Back to
you just go
conclude.
online, go on Google. You just know how to do a Google search, and then you copy the code and then bring it back. But then at that point, it's not really the copying of the code that makes you good. It's the fact that you spent time practicing, spend time trying to solve those problems, and you know where the solution is at the time that you need it. If you've not practiced before, you wouldn't know where the solution is when you need it. And when that happens, then you still remain a beginner. So you can't just say because you've taken a course you are just fine. No, 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 that's not the case. You have to spend time practicing, and because you practice, and that's exactly what we do at Tech Semester. We give you problems that helps you to practice. Now you now realize that, oh, this is not even in the course. You wouldn't have known it's not in the course if you're not trying to solve a problem with those things you have learned. So trying to solve problems helps you to practice, and trying to practice, you get to know where those things are, such that in more critical times you're able to refer to them in the at the click of a button.
Wow, thank you. And just to wrap up on that, we're almost done with this session. To also add to what Anizia said, coupled with the work our tech semester is doing, personally here on this YouTube channel, if you don't know, is Microsoft Power Tools. And one of the things we do every fortnight, twice in a month, is Microsoft Power Night, where we come together to teach people Power Platform. The likes of Power Automate, Power Apps, Power Virtual Agents, and how to use them to solve a problem in an organization. Our focus is not to teach, to just teach, because when you go online, you see different videos on how to use power apps and other things. But we solve a problem. Every time we meet, we will solve a functional problem so that you take back to your organization and implement, and that way, you increase the value. And you are not just there to share an idea, you are sharing a solution that can be consumed almost immediately with your team. And if you are someone who you are not yet working, you can replicate that as well and build a portfolio for yourself. In your next interview, whatsoever you are being interviewed for, you have the chances of making it true. Because beyond the knowledge you have in the domain you are being interviewed for, you have additional skills, additional value to bring into the organization through the Power Platform tools. So I will encourage you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, like what we do, and register for the community to get real-time updates to what we do and the next event coming up. All right. So just to wrap it up, what would be your advice to the youth? I mean, just you're a youth. You're just like me. We are both millennials, and then a lot of people want to learn. A lot of people are. I don't just want this event to be a motivational thing. Let it rather be an activator. So I believe more in activating than motivating. When you activate people, they get to work. But when you motivate, they're just in the moment. They're in the moment, and after that, that has passed. But how can we activate them? What would be your advice to the youth?
All right. Thank you very much once again, Allah, for this opportunity. I really don't take it. All right. If you do ask me, I would say, do not just take technology as the new ritual. That would be one of the biggest mistakes that we are going to make. You know what? One thing I think, I think that most of our best talents going to KPMG, Google, Facebook, they are all good things, but they are only good if we have 20% or 30% or at most 40% of our best talents going there, and the rest of the 60% solving problems that first of all help Africa as a continent grow, and also help us build things that we can also export. But the moment we have all of our technology talents, up to 80% of them going to work for the big ones, the big guys like Facebook, Google, I think there's a problem already. There's a national and then continental problem. So I am in the light of that, I would say, do not just take technology as a ritual where you just want to know, you want to know Django, you want to know JavaScript, you want to know Python, you want to know how to code this, build that. No, I would rather advise that you get consumed by a passion to solve problems. I mean, problems are there every day around you. Get consumed by the passion to solve those problems, and then learn technology in the light of that. So again, let technology be an enabler and not an end in itself. Don't let technology be the final party. Let technology be an enabler that has come, helping you to solve most of those problems that we face in our day-to-day activities. I've just talked about the fintech. Flutterwave is $1 billion, and we are all happy about it. Why? Because they are solving local problems. And very soon, if Flutterwave grows well enough, we can export its services to other countries, first in Africa and then to other continents of the world that cannot build that. That's a very big win for Africa and then for Nigeria. And that only happened because Benya was more focused about solving a particular problem that he cited, using technology as an enabler. He wasn't excited about going to tech and making money or building $1 billion company just in tech. No, he found the problem, and you will find that in the CEO of Paystack's voice also, consumed by the passion to solve problem. So you should be consumed by passion to solve problem. Behold the problem around you and use technology as an enabler to solve them. There's something I want to do. I saw someone saying they're resuming school, and then the requirement to get to the hostel is 10 face masks. I'm like, okay. Then I saw a girl say, okay, because they are requiring face masks to get in the hostel, I'm selling face masks already. I'm like, okay, how about you just go on quickly, build a website that can take in those orders, and then utilize one of those logistics company and deliver those face masks to those guys by the time they get to their hostels. That's a very quick one, using technology to solve a problem. Now, at that point, I'm not saying I'm a website developer, I'm a website developer. No, you have been able to apply your skill to solve a very small one. Now, take it from there, scale it up, solve bigger problems. There's skill gap, build companies, build products that solve that particular problem. There's a problem in the agricultural space, build products that solve it. In the health space, build products that solve it. In the retail space, build products that solve it. In every industry you find yourself, there's a problem that technology can power. So properly utilize technology to solve those problems. They consumed more by the passion to solve problems than the excitement to join the technology party or technology ritual. If you do that way, in the long run, our country, Nigeria, and our continent, Africa, will win. And then we're going to have that very big party that makes Professor to always say the future is full of abundance. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. Arinze, you must have been drinking from the cup of Professor Ngibise Kekwe. Indeed, you can't stay with him that long and not be able to spill out as much as you are. I'm so happy and thank you so much for that word of advice you have given out, especially the focus and the need to be consumed by the passion to solve problem. Just to add to that, while I was in the university at 200 level, I can remember vividly I was consumed with how do we manage record keeping. That was just it. I just wanted to know any small thing, do we have the record? They are being kept on paper. And I believe one day that will be updated. I went back to my jotter then and I read it recently and I saw my thoughts and my dream about the future of those days. How I was lamenting that okay, soon everything will be e-recording, e-filing, all those things, electronic, everything moving online. Well, they were online then, but maybe those technology was not closer to us. But I was consumed by that passion and I started saying, let me learn how to do it. I went online and that made me to learn the simplest of record management solution, which is Microsoft Access, because I couldn't use other technologies there. But I learned Microsoft Access. That makes me get familiar with SQL by then, how to build the front interface in Microsoft Access. And the time when it comes to now learning HTML, CSS, and so many other information and other technologies, it was easier for me to relate with backend. When I see SQL, this thing looks like Microsoft Access. Yes, the way I write query, it's the same thing. It was easier for me to relate. Remember, I started with a problem. Let me create a record management solution. What do I need to do this? I started looking for the skills, and I found Microsoft Access as the basic Windows database management application. So that same way today, whatsoever you're learning, whatsoever the problem is you're trying to address, the moment you're able to identify that problem, the skills to solve them are readily, they're out there. Look for them and don't forget to sign up for boot camps. They're going to help you a lot, and Tech Semester is one of that. So we're going to add to the link to the description of this video on YouTube, the URL or the link to get to Tech Semester in case you want to sign up for their program and event. I tell you, there's a lot of value to be derived there. It's been 53 awesome minutes of being on this show. We have a lot of contribution, a lot of comments rolling in from Facebook, from LinkedIn, and from YouTube. Thank you, everyone, for your time. And once again, Arinze, thank you for making it to the event. See you in the next episode.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. See you in the next episode of Microsoft PowerDiscuss. Bye for now.